Let's dive in. I know I deserve the most terrible words directed at me. I know I made a huge mistake, betrayed someone close to me, and didn't appreciate the love that was given to me. I know I can't undo any of it, but I still dream of turning back time, if only it were possible. My ex-husband Alex and I lived together for 5 years. All that time he loved me madly, surrounding me with attention, care, and affection, and I, perhaps, only allowed myself to be loved. At first, I enjoyed the way he treated me. It was pleasant. Then I started to take it for granted, and eventually his excessive care and attention began to annoy me, or so it seemed. The thing is, he was positive in every way, knew how to compromise, and I began to see this as a weakness on his part. He was too perfect, giving himself to me entirely without reservation. It even seemed to me that all he lacked was a halo over his head. He also really wanted children, but at that time I didn't. I thought it was too early. We needed to live for ourselves first. Then I decided that I didn't want to have children with this man because I wasn't sure I wanted to spend my whole life with him. I studied to become a hairdresser, gained experience in low-end salons, and after 2 years got a job at a prestigious salon located on the first floor of a hotel complex. I quickly became friends with the salon's owner and manager, a young woman named Jenna, who was only 2 years older than me. The salon, by the way, was named after her. She was a glamorous woman who believed that all men were the same and only wanted one thing from women. She said they didn't deserve to be loved and should only be used. She was quite attractive, a slender figure, ample bust, well-groomed appearance. It was clear she took care of herself. She told me that she had already been married twice. The first time, out of foolishness, the second, for convenience. Her second ex-husband was 25 years older but wealthy. He gave her an apartment, a car, this salon, and a pile of money. She changed lovers like gloves, she would say. A pretty face, the right words he wants to hear, and a couple of good tricks in bed, and he's yours. A man's ego is a lever that needs to be used skillfully. In general, I fell under the influence of my friend. Realizing that life is short and should be lived to the fullest, Alex began to seem boring to me. And then one fine day, Jenna introduced me to her latest suitor, and the three of us went to the hotel restaurant. He was on a business trip and was staying at the hotel. Arthur, that was his name, began to pay more attention to me, giving me signs of interest. But this didn't bother Jenna. In the end, I succumbed to his charms, and we spent that night together in his room. Now I had to explain myself to my husband and my friend. I found something to say to my husband. This wasn't my first infidelity. He listened to me and forgave me once again because he loved me so much. Now I had to figure out what to do with Jenna. I went to work, thinking there would be a scandal and possibly me getting fired, but Jenna took it calmly. She said, "No man is worth fighting with my best friend over. Like the guy? Take him. Besides, I'm already bored with him. My affair with Arthur developed rapidly. Jenna constantly covered for me with Alex. And then, one day Arthur declared, 'I love you and want you to be my wife. I'm no longer willing to share you with anyone, not even your husband.' I myself had fallen madly in love with him. Arthur had a week left before he had to leave, and he gave me that time to talk to Alex and make a decision. But I didn't know how to tell my husband everything. If he were indifferent, it would have been easier to leave him. But there wasn't even a reason. Tell him everything as it is, that I fell in love with someone else. But I didn't want to look like a traitor. His perfection irritated me, and I wanted a real reason, so I arranged for Jenna to seduce my husband. Strangely enough, she agreed. She loved such adventures. But the next day she came back upset and angry. Not a single man has ever resisted me. And he just keeps repeating, 'I love my wife.' And that's it. For the first time, I felt a pang of conscience. Was I doing the right thing? Jenna suggested Plan B. On a day off, I prepared a festive table at home. There was a lot of alcohol, although Alex never drank much. We invited Jenna over. She discreetly slipped some concoction she brought into his glass, and he passed out. We dragged him into the bedroom, undressed him, and put him to bed. Then Jenna also undressed and lay down next to him. Now I realize how idiotic that act was in my life. I'm disgusted to recall that I betrayed a husband who loved me like no else. In the morning, I caught them together and caused a scandal. My husband was bewildered, saying he didn't remember anything, but I wasn't listening to him anymore. I packed my things, called a taxi, and declared, "I can't forgive betrayal and infidelity." I said I was filing for divorce, quitting the salon, and leaving the city. I played the role of the offended victim well. I threw my wedding ring and apartment, keys, grabbed my bag, and left, leaving my heartbroken husband feeling guilty and Jenna smiling. I went to the hotel where Arthur was already waiting for me. 2 days later, we left for his place in New York. Alex and I divorced quickly since we didn't have children and I made no property claims. They just sent him a notice of the divorce. My happiness with Arthur lasted exactly 1 year. The first 2 months, our life seemed like a fairy tale. He was caring, attentive, showering me with compliments and gifts. But soon, Arthur became a completely different person. He turned into a tyrant who was jealous of me over every little thing, even though he himself didn't miss a single opportunity with other women. I wanted to have a child with him, but he forced me to have an abortion. He forbade me from communicating with anyone, and eventually, from even leaving the house. He wasn't in a hurry to make an official marriage proposal, and then he began to raise his hand against me. Unlike Alex, Arthur turned out to be a complete egoist. I realized that everything was coming back to me like a boomerang. During this time, I remembered my ex-husband more and reproaching and punishing myself for how vilely I had treated him. I cursed myself for all the infidelities, for the harm I caused him, for the pain I inflicted. Days and nights, I cried, recalling the good moments of our life. One day, I couldn't stand it and tried to call him, but the number no longer existed. I wanted to contact Jenna, but her number was also unavailable. I could no longer endure Arthur's treatment. One day, gathering my courage, I told him, "I'm leaving. I'm going back to my ex-husband." He just laughed in my face. "Good luck," he said mockingly. He didn't try to stop me. I returned to the city where I had lived with my husband. For some reason, I was sure that Alex still loved me and blamed himself for me leaving him. I wanted to see him, fall at his feet, explain everything, ask for forgiveness, and persuade him to start over. When I rang the doorbell of the apartment I had left a year ago, Jenna opened the door. I hardly recognized her. She no longer resembled the capricious, arrogant, glamorous woman I knew. Before me stood a modest, serious woman, no bright makeup, wearing a green blouse and a denim jumper. Moreover, she was pregnant and quite far along. Had never seen her like this. Jenna greeted me coldly but politely. She still let me into the apartment. I entered and it felt like a blow. The apartment had completely changed. Modern renovations, new furniture, curtains. The bedroom had been converted into a nursery. Everything exuded coziness and warmth. We sat in the kitchen and she began to tell me. She said that when she first got married, because of an unplanned pregnancy, she was 17. Her husband drank, cheated, and once beat her so badly that she could no longer have children. Because of this, she said, she became the way I had known her before. Everything changed after in my life, she admitted, looking straight into my eyes. I was silent, not knowing what to say. He's the only man who deserves love and happiness. And you. Her voice turned cold. Didn't appreciate him and discarded such a rare and precious person. She told me what happened the day I flew out of the apartment. Jenna had also left, but then something strange happened. Her car wouldn't start for a long time. A road was closed. In general, she felt that she was being drawn back by some unknown force, as she put it, and not in vain. Jenna returned to the apartment, rang, knocked, called out his name, but no one answered. She sensed with her heart that something terrible had happened, and she wasn't wrong. She called emergency services and an ambulance just in case. They broke the lock. Alex had tried to take his own life. If I had been even a minute late, you'd be visiting his grave right now, Jenna said with a heavy sigh. Alex was taken to the hospital. They gave him a blood transfusion. Jenna went with him. And when he recovered, she told him everything. Confessed, asked for forgiveness, and told him that I had another man but didn't want to admit it to him. Jenna visited him every day, pulled him out of that state, spent a lot of money on therapists. It was then, in the hospital, that she first learned what true love was. She admitted that for the first time in her life, she truly loved someone. She sought his forgiveness and his love, piecing together his shattered heart that I had broken. She painstakingly built her happiness, and when I realized I was pregnant by him, it was the pinnacle of all my dreams. "You're expecting a child from my husband?" I asked, not believing my ears. Jenna raised her stern gaze to me. "No, I'm expecting a child from my husband," she replied firmly. She showed me the wedding ring on her finger. "We got married 6 months ago, as soon as we found out about my pregnancy. Now we're a family," Jenna continued, saying it would be better if I didn't meet with Alex, and that I shouldn't even think about it. "I'd fight tooth and nail for him," she warned with cold determination. "And honestly, he probably doesn't want to see you after everything you've done." I couldn't utter a word. Jenna added that Alex would be back from work soon, and it would be better if I left. "I shouldn't get stressed. It's bad for the baby," she said in parting. I left the apartment as if in a fog. Outside, emptiness engulfed me. I didn't want to live. I blamed everyone around me, Jenna, Arthur, even Alex, for finding solace so quickly. It seemed that Jenna had deliberately set me up with Arthur to steal Alex. I dreamed of asking Alex for forgiveness for everything I had done. It seemed to me that he still loved me and had just found comfort in Jenna. But that was only self-deception. I had lost him forever, and it was all my own fault.